Hey everyone, in this episode, we recap 2024 and talk about all the good things to come in 2025 on the real estate market in San Antonio. You gotta listen in. Welcome everybody to the San Antonio Invest podcast. My name is Brad Larson. I'm the founder of Rentworks Saleworks, covering the San Antonio real estate markets and the Austin market. We affectionately call it San Austin. So our company offers full service property management, leasing only services for investors, along with aiding buyers and sellers in purchasing real estate for investments or their primary residence, and along with selling them as well. After leaving the Army as an infantry officer, I landed here in the San Antonio area and have been selling real estate since 2003. The purpose of this podcast is to show some of the highlights and takeaways for the real estate market locally and to talk about national subjects that do affect our local real estate market. So why is this important to you? Well, we're finally putting 2024 behind us. Here we are, late December 2024, recording this podcast. And obviously, we've had a bunch of things going on in 2024. It was a crazy busy year for real estate, for politics, for the market, for anything that's going on in the country that does affect consumer confidence. And that was a big year for us in 2024. I wouldn't say it's a great year. I would just say it was a big year. We had a lot going on with the election. And just to note on the election, it's a good thing it's behind us. So right, wrong, or other, left, right, center, whomever is voted in, the market hates elections as far as it makes them nervous. And nervous markets just sit on their hands and freeze. They don't do anything. And so it's good to have that behind us because 2024, we saw inflation at a bad clip between 22, 23, 24. We had higher than expected interest rates. And again, that paralyzing market force of what's going to happen next year with this election and potentially a new president. Well, it was going to be a new president either way, but everyone was just kind of sitting on their hands to see what's going on. And one of the biggest stories that we had in 2024 was the NAR rules change. The National Association of Realtors got it into a big giant lawsuit. They lost, they settled. And in that settlement, which has now been fully approved and gone through, there were changes in how we are doing business to include the commission structures, the flow of the commissions, and kind of in a nutshell, what we've adopted here at Saleworks is we list the home on a certain commission rate with that particular seller, and that's it. That commission rate is fixed with the seller, and we leave it wide open, negotiable to a buyer's agent to make an offer for offer to purchase with a commission rate included. So Saleworks might contract with a standing property management owner that has been working with Rentworks for years and years. We might contract with them for 2.5%, period, plain and simple. That's kind of our standard rate for our existing Rentworks, Saleworks clients. And then we leave it zero, negotiable, wide open to whatever we're going to pay a buyer's agent. And that could be 1%, it could be 10%. I mean, there is no set standard. And it's often a negotiable thing, which is how it should have been in the very beginning. And because going years past, it was a fixed commission rate. A seller at the time of contracting with a listing agent had zero say in what they were going to offer a buyer's agent because the listing agents all basically colluded and said that you're going to list with me for X total percent, but I'm 100% going to pay a 3% buyer's agent commission. Otherwise, buyer's agents won't like me. They won't talk to me at the grocery store. They'll blackball me. And it was a lot of peer pressure to keep that going, which is antitrust, the 100% definition of antitrust. And that's why a jury in Missouri took 3 hours to rule against the NAR and slap them with a $1.7 billion judgment. So I firmly believe in that judgment. I believe it's high time for the National Association of Realtors to decouple from the multiple listing services and essentially turn themselves into nothing more than the Rotary Club. So having said all that, I'm not a big fan of the NAR at all, despite whatever lobbying efforts they may put forward, which again has led to this whole monopoly of commission rates. So having said all that, moving past, and we're going to look at some 2024 notes as far as how the market did. And one of the first things I wanted to talk about is where we're getting these statistics from. These are getting compiled and sent to us by Independence Title, and the compilation of the multiple listing statistics from the San Antonio Board of Realtors, and in addition to the Austin Board of Realtors, which we're going to focus mostly on the San Antonio region. I really do appreciate Independence Title. I'm hoping that they want to sponsor this podcast here in the future because I feel they do a fantastic job. They're one of our, I've been closing with them for let's call it 20 years, since 2023, 2024, especially. And I think they do a great job, and I've always been a big fan. So I'll get to the highlights here. So the averages from 2024 from 2023 are down. All of the averages, the average sales price, the average days on market, the average overall sales price, the average list price to sales price, they're all down. So 2024 was a down year compared to 2023. And so I just want to bring that up because some of those are inconsequential. The total price on averages is inconsequential because that just varies from left to right. It doesn't really matter. The big indicators of what the market trends are doing are clearly going to be days on market, in addition to the total amount of inventory that we had. The days on market can go back into the total amount of inventory because if you're looking at 150, 180 days on market, that's a complete 100% buyer's market. If you're looking at 15 or 30 days in the market, that's a complete seller's market. And we have been hovering in the 83 to 78 range. 2023 was 78 days on market average, and 2024 was 83 total days on market. So that's significant. In addition to the range of where the homes were first listed to where they were selling. And that's ranging from 4 to 5%. So that means there is some negotiation room and buyers are coming in offering a little bit less. And, let's do some easy math for fun. Let's say it's a $100,000 home, which really is, not available. Let's say there's a $100,000 home and a buyer comes in and offers $95,000. Well, that's a 5% off of the list price offer. And it could be $90,000 and you split the difference at $95,000 at a 5% difference. So there is some negotiation room in some of these list prices that are affecting the sales price. In a hot market where you have 15 to 30 days on the market, you get into a bidding wars. And we actually saw that number decrease down to about 1% or less from list price to sales price, because obviously that was a super hot market in 2021, 22, during the COVID era. A lot of people were moving to the free state of Texas and getting away from the blue state restrictions. And that affected the total overall days on market, which was significant for our market. And it did make a big difference. So a couple key things to pull out as well. The sold price change was 5% average this year. So that's a pretty neat figure. We just talked about that at length. I just think that's kind of significant compared to years past. And it also affects potentially how you want to list your home as far as the sales price. So if you think, hey, I want to go higher on the list price, I'm a big proponent of being aggressive. Okay, yeah, I get it. You're thinking, yeah, Brad, you're just trying to make a quick sale. Well, if you're aggressive on the price, and let's say it's a vacant move-in ready home, and you're not getting the showings that you want, you're not getting the activity that you want, but again, it's a vacant move-in ready home, it's only one thing. It's always going to come down to price. There's two things that sell homes: price and condition. If you as a seller and the listing agent have done their job in making the home as attractive as possible on the list side, meaning that it's a move-in ready, somebody can walk in and buy that home today. Okay, yeah, they're going to do their inspections. Yeah, they may want to change a few things. There might be some lender required repairs, but for the most part, it's not, it's not dumpy. It's move-in ready, let's say. If that's the case, then if you're not getting the activity that you want, it's clearly coming down to price. So I am a firm believer in aggressive pricing, because if you are aggressively priced, you could potentially get into a bidding war. And it sure is great to have 2 or 3 or 4 offers sitting on the table in front of you. Because if you don't have that, you may end up taking a VA offer or something that's going to have a lot of stipulations with very minimal upside for the seller. I mean, VA purchasing is terrible for the seller. I'm going to be very frank. Anytime you get bureaucratic policies in place where you have zero down financing, where you have lender required repairs, where you have just the difficulty of getting through a VA appraisal, VA appraisers love to find things wrong with homes so they can charge the buyer another VA appraiser site visit. Yeah, it's a thing. Yep, you certainly do need you're going to need new screens on the back window. So I'm going to charge you $150 trip fee to come out and verify they were put up before closing. Yeah, I'm letting that sink in for a minute and a pause, because that's what they do. That's what VA appraisers do. And what you don't want to get into as a seller is lender required repairs 3 weeks into a contract, 4 weeks into a contract. And that just drives everybody insane because the lender required repairs end up being the buyer's decision if they were done correctly, and or the VA appraiser's decision if they were done correctly. And I should, preface this in air quotes, correctly. And that leads to just some last minute giveaways at the closing table that hurts the seller. Okay, so clearly I'm dogging on the VA process. I am a veteran. I've purchased VA homes before. However, the process is one-sided in favor of the buyer. And the seller, if you're a seller, you don't want to get into that. This is where aggressive pricing comes in. If you are aggressively priced, you potentially could have a few offers in front of you to include a conventional offer. And I would encourage sellers to take less for a conventional offer because you avoid lender required repairs, you avoid VA fees, you avoid the VA hassle. And if a VA appraisal comes in low, the buyer can back out and the earnest money is retrieved back to the buyer, sent back. So it's just kind of a lose-lose situation for the seller, but you may get into that if you are pricing a little bit higher on the market. So this is not a whole episode about pricing. I'm just wanted to throw down a few thoughts that I have and just seeing some recent transactions going down with what's going on in the market, pricing, and what we see with buyers right now. So interesting part of what we're also seeing is in the world of these buyers and sellers changing with the NAR rules, a lot of times you might see a buyer come to a listing agent without a buyer's representation, which is a fantastic deal for everybody. Because if you can go to the broker like myself and work an intermediary deal, which we are allowed to do, we can be a facilitator to the transaction. After the home is listed, after the home is marketed, we can put a buyer together and a seller together and act as a go-between, a facilitator to make that deal flow and happen and get to closing with a significantly reduced commission for everybody. Because in the end, the buyer is paying for the commission either in a 30-year loan or at closing in cash. So that's what we are in today's reality, because the buyer's agents have to contract with the buyer up front before showing them a home. Yes, Mr. Buyer, you're going to pay me 3% no matter what. No matter if a deal closes or whatever, once the home has been identified and a contract made, an offer made, you're going to pay a commission. Buyers are looking at that like, whoa, wait a minute. This is way different than when it used to be. Are you really worth $10,000 to open a few doors and write up a contract? This is where we're going to start seeing decreased buyer's agent fees to either a flat fee or a significantly reduced commission rate. Right now, we're still seeing 2.5% or 3% fly across our desk from buyer's agent fees. And I'm just actually kind of amazed they're still getting that from certain buyers. So it's a hard sell, in my opinion, but that's here nor there. So what that leads to an opportunity at the sellers is you could get potentially an intermediary transaction, which is a huge savings for everybody. And you don't run in the risk of getting the appraisal involved where it could block everything. That's, again, back to the VA FHA loans. You get an appraisal that comes in low, it could totally ruin the deal. So summing this up, I think where the interest rates are going to be going is on a downward trend, which is going to be good for the overall consumer confidence in 2025. That's really one of the biggest things to bring up about this podcast right at the end of the year is consumer confidence going into 2025 is hugely on the upswing. One little report I saw the other day was secondary homes, like vacation homes, are trending upwards in certain locations. That means people were sitting on their hands in paralyzed mode, waiting to see what happens. And now all of a sudden with the election behind us, they're like, yes, I'm going to buy that second home. I'm going to buy that vacation lot. I'm going to buy that RV. I'm going to buy that, I'm going to buy that home now to live in. So we're seeing consumer confidence go through the roof in 2025. All good things are coming. So at RentWorks, we offer full service property management with a 777 agent referral fee for agents to refer us anyone that wants our services for property management. In addition to, we offer a flat commission rate of 2.5% to any of our RentWorks clients for me personally to sell your home and work with our team in getting that to close. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to visit us at rentworks.com. Appreciate everyone's time here and look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.